looking for cases.
Yeah, they literally find it in a newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, in the obituaries, and they decide to go take a look at it.
Yeah, no, I thought
And
that was cool because this is like the end of them. Like they're gonna start getting techier, but you do see them find this one out of the newspaper.
which, I mean, they do that from time to time in the future as well, to some degree, but I mean, they definitely get techier, and especially in the final seasons, they are highly tech. So, because it is the 2010, so they kind of have to be. But it's this episode, this first episode was really well done. I mean, and as Scott said, the imagery is fucking amazing. The mirror imagery is like something out of a fucking modern horror movie. So, I mean, it was perfectly done.
Yeah, I thought it
Nothing.
was very like ring esque, like the girl and everything that's on the other side of the mirror, and just going
Yeah,
from even like reflective TVs and glass and.
gla- glasses, literally glasses, which okay, I don't see
Hmm.
nothing. But yeah, literally in glasses too, which is freaking. I mean, it throws a new twist on the Bloody Mary, because Bloody Mary is one of the most classic urban legends of all time. So like, it throws like a new twist on it, new rules on it that weren't in previous incarnations of this creature. So it's
Well, and that's
interesting.
they asked if the dad, or Sam asks Dean if the dad has ever encountered Bloody Mary, and they think it's just basically lore at this time. They don't think it is an actual,
Yeah.
but they know people have been talking about it for hundreds of years.
Which I mean, I meant to do some research today, but I didn't get a chance due to shit going on in my car. I had to go make sure I got to a shop. But my question was, can Bloody Mary really attack you if you don't say her name? Like, if you're not the person who said her name, can she attack you? Because that goes against everything the urban legend states.
Yeah, but we find out in the end this isn't actually Bloody Mary. It's just a vengeful spirit. And I thought, this might be another first, but this is the first time where they're dealing with a cremated ghost in the
Yeah,
show, at least, right?
yeah. I mean, it is, and that kind of complicates things for them a lot because it's not an easy fix like all the other ones. It's a more of a, well, how do we deal with this then? But it's it's interesting. And
I did. So they're searching for whatever this is. Right now, it's killed the dad, and the girl said the name. We'll give away some of the thing here. So it starts off with three little girls in candlelight playing Bloody Mary. One of the little girls says it, and then her dad dies. And then another girl mocking her friend says it, and she dies. And then we got it hunting one of the other friends. And you want to tell them why the ghost is hunting?
uh I mean, the ghost is hunting because isn't it the ghost of the wife, if I'm not mistaken?
No, so it's the girl is going after people with secrets. Anybody that's hurt somebody, and
Right. Yeah, I mean,
so
yeah.
that's why it didn't go after the little girl, but it went after the dad because the dad killed the mom, and then the other girl had a hit and run, and now the new girl that Sam and Dean are keeping safe, they she told her boyfriend they got into a fight with her boyfriend and told her boyfriend to go unalive himself, and he did. So that was her
Ye-
secret.
Yep, and some good-looking women in this episode as always, and of course Dean tries to do what Dean does, but he fails horribly.
Well,
Not as
and this
bad as the
this
next, not as bad as the next episode we're going to talk about, but still, he fails.
yeah,
um,
the
I
night
mean, it's
vision. That's the first time too, right? Like using night vision. That might be one of the only times they do that in the whole season.
it might be. I mean, and I gotta say, this episode is a throwback to the times when you actually would talk on the phone holding it while driving.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like,
thought the
like
same thing.
it's
It's
a
before the
fucking
law.
throwback to before Bluetooth, before the law, before Bluetooth were invented really for cars. Like, it's before all that. It's like the old days of holding a fucking flip phone to your ear while driving and talking on the phone with one hand while driving with the other. Like, it's old school as shit. Like, it's good times in the
I
early
thought
2000s.
I thought the same thing because when I saw that, I was like, ah, yeah, it was like right around that time when they made the law. It was illegal to talk on the phone and drive.
And I mean, Bluetooth still wasn't invented for like years after that. Like, and it wasn't a
Oh
regular thing
yeah.
in cars for like years after that. So you still had to do it if you wanted to talk on the phone while driving. So, I mean, it's just I literally can remember times dropping my cell phone because a cop be going by the other way. But like,
Well, and it wasn't even taboo because the first cell phones or whatever they used to put car phones in, so like
yeah.
it was totally legal and normal for somebody to call and talk on the phone in their car.
But I will say
Okay,
that. I mean, okay, no, go ahead if you got something.
well, in this one, right, they use the night vision and they see the little drips on the mirror where they was trying to attack I guess, the second girl who gets unalived.
Yeah.
But then they rip the back open and they see a little boy and a little girl, or a girl's name, and they track it down to an unsolved murder in. Her name was Mary Worthington in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it's
Yep.
103 miles away. So that's like an hour and 40-minute drive. So they got to find out, how the hell is a ghost from 103 miles away haunting the place? And that's when they put two and two together with the mirror.
Which that was the next note I actually had was this episode presents the interesting idea of spirits being drawn into mirrors, and
Hmm.
it's interesting because my 2-month-old hates looking into mirrors,
Well, I guess your house
and
is haunted.
as we all know, it's possessed. Yes, I don't like that word, but it's possessed. And yeah, so and I mean, she definitely sees things. My 2-month-old definitely sees things. Like she'll be looking at something and like in the middle of blank space, and it's definitely one of the spirits. We think the female one makes her happy and the male one makes her upset, but it's she does not look into mirrors. She will not. She looks into a mirror and start crying.
Yeah, well, when they're younger, right, they're more in tune with that kind of thing.
And until they start talking, and then they lose it, just like Baby Genius has said. But yeah, okay. Well, my final note in this one because I honestly couldn't get many notes out of this one. It was a classic episode for any paranormal show, like to do a Bloody Mary episode. But so I got one final note, but I don't want to give it away to the end because it has to do with the ending.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I thought it was great, and like all the mirror scenes and reflective scenes. I mean, you could have stretched this out another hour and made a full-on movie out of this thing, right?
You could have
There were
yeah,
shittier.
it would have been more of a perceive. Oh, actually, I didn't make a note of this, but there was a first in this, another first in this. The first time Dean knocks out cops.
That's what I was getting into. Is Dean knocks out the cops, and while Dean's talking to the cops, Sam's in there smashing up mirrors and shit.
I mean, well,
That was
no,
just a fun.
and that's my final note actually is that that's the point where Sam gets possessed because he says Bloody Mary 3 times and he calls her fourth and he gets possessed and it's the first time it's the start of Sam confronting his own demons in a way. That's the beginning of it.
Well, and this
So
is where I'll say, because we get throughout the episode, we get Sam having that flashback nightmare of his girlfriend up on the roof, and that's where this
yeah,
one kind of tied into the storyline. Is we find out that that's what Sam lied about. Is he had the dreams about his girlfriend up dying on the roof and being taken by the demon before it actually happened. So he was having premonitions of the experience before it happened.
yep, and I mean, as anybody who listens to this show normally on my regular episodes knows, I'm a huge believer in premonition. So don't I've had my whole life, they never met shit, but I've had my whole life, so it's don't ignore them. Don't ignore them if they're actually something worthwhile and not just random conversations. But
Well, the last note I have for Bloody Mary was this is when I noticed, and I'm not sure with the first four, but they tried to do that music at the end by like a different band. The Walking
yeah,
Dead did it too. If you watch the first 3 or 4 seasons, The Walking Dead tried the same thing. and then they just kind
Yeah.
of ditched that eventually. So I want to look out in the future. We got to look out for when they ditch the bringing the new artists in at the end of the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, eventually every show gets sick. Every show gets sick of paying the royalties to use music
Yeah.
so they eventually stop. But it's all right. Well, folks, this next episode is definitely the better of the two, in my opinion, and it's called Skin, which very fitting. But and I will say to start off that the opening music in it was freaking incredible. I don't know what band it is off the top of my head, but that opening track they had playing was freaking fun as shit. So
The whole opening scene was pretty cool, but it looks like we're going to be watching like some Saw serial killer type movie in the
yeah, I
beginning.
mean the way they did like the whole showing the future and then flashing back like a crime show type thing was really done well and it was cool. I enjoyed the shit out of it. So I
And
mean
this,
it's
like, we start off all metal. You got the girl tied up. There's metals going, blood all over the place. You got the back of somebody with a knife. And then right before we flash to the opening credits, you notice it's Dean that's holding the knife, and the cops got him surrounded.
and and then it says like a week earlier, and you're like, oh, what the
Hmm.
fuck is like the first time you watch this episode, you're literally just like, what the fuck, and it's a mind twist, it really is, and but this episode really plays into the paranormal well, so I freaking love this episode. It was done so well. I mean, they mentioned so many things we'll get into, but
Was that a first, though? Was that the first time they've done it so far, where we see that scene and then they jump
yeah,
forward a
yep,
week
it's
later? Okay,
it's the first.
that'll happen a
Well,
lot.
they jump back. They jump back a week
Yeah,
earlier.
jump back.
Yeah, yeah, it's the first time they did that so far in the first season. I mean, the first four episodes played out like in regular time.
And
First,
another thing, like right from the beginning, I noticed is how high tech they are. Sam is rocking a BlackBerry or something to that extent. I mean, those were not cheap back then.
no, they weren't. I mean, shit, my parents didn't even have those back
Yeah,
then or ever. So I mean, they went out of fashion for my parents to ever even get one. But I mean, and this episode does play into the storyline a little bit because that's a lot. It kind of ties into Sam's college life a little bit, so it does tie into his life a little bit more than previous episodes. And we get to meet his friend from college, who is the most flat-chested woman I ever seen in my life.
um, yeah, we get to meet Sam's college friends, and I thought at the very beginning, I thought it was a demon because they hint around to the fact that the dude's clothes were stolen,
I
and we
mean,
saw Dean's eyes.
yeah, but they don't. They're not black like a demon's, and that was actually my next note. Is they're not black like a demon's. They're like golden glowing eyes in a way,
Hmm.
and it's different than a demon. And the mythology they play into is fucking incredible. We'll get into that in a second. I don't want to reveal yet just what it is we're dealing with here, folks, but it's it's actually a creature that comes into this show pretty often in the future. I mean, not as often as demons or ghosts, but it comes in pretty often. But I and I mean, so basically, this whole episode is about murders being committed. That the people who are being accused of the murders they all have alibis or they're all people who wouldn't do it supposedly.
Yeah,
So
well,
it kind
yeah,
of
they're all the boyfriends, right? And then it's two places at one time is what's going on with everybody.
yeah, usually the person they think is the murderer comes back and finds the crime scene and like is getting arrested at the same time because cops were somehow called. I don't know how, but that's the biggest mystery in this fucking episode is who's calling these cops to come in.
Well, I mean, with all the video surveillance they got everywhere. Remember, we are always 30 years behind what the government has. So we were
Yeah, but
probably all
even
microchipped at that point.
no, even in the early 2000s, like no, cops just don't show up at a house with SWAT team and everything unless. And the victim is every time the victim is fucking tied up. How are the cops finding out? Like, our neighbors hearing screams? Like it's never made clear. Like it's never made clear how the cops keep finding out about like all these fucking crimes like right away. That's not
Yeah.
the way it goes.
Oh shoot, I didn't have as many notes on this one.
Yeah,
I know.
it wasn't a note heavy episode. It was a crime procedural episode. And
So we find out like right from the get go, one of Sam's friends from college ends up killing his girlfriend. They go into the crime scene and everything, and then it jumps to this Asian guy who's like giving his wife a kiss goodbye, and you see this weirdo, or I guess it would be Sam's friend, like staring at him across the street. That's where you see the eyes glow, and then the dude ends up the work cancels or whatever, so he comes back in and he finds his wife all tied up, unties her, and she says, "Stop hurting me." And that's like our first big clue.
yeah, which I mean, first mistake number one. If you walk in, your wife's all tied up. Have some fun with it for fuck's sake. Be a man. But I mean, it's but yeah, yeah, I mean, shit's obviously not right when that shit happens, and they're not just tied up. I mean, they're also all cut up too.
Hmm.
The villain's weapon of choice is a fucking nice knife. So I mean, it's a nicely shaped and nicely sharp knife. So it's
And that
fucking a good weapon to have.
and then this is when Sam and Sam finds
Yeah.
out like they both kind of disappear, and then they both go into the sewer, and this is where they find them.
Yep, and they start seeing gelatinous clothes and gelatinous um piles on the floor in the sewer, and that's when they realize what the hell they're facing here, and that's when they, well, all right, it's, I think it's time to say it, don't you?
Yeah, go for it.
We are talking shapeshifters, folks. They are facing shapeshifters, which they make mention of famous ones such as the Skinwalker, and I forget the other name they use, but I mean, they mentioned the Skinwalker, which is freaking awesome. That they announced. I mean, back when Skinwalkers weren't even a known thing by the general public, it wasn't 2018 yet. Skinwalker Ranch wasn't a thing yet. So, like, Skinwalkers were not a known cryptid at that point by anybody except people who were in to the paranormal at that point. So
Yeah, you'd
it
have
was
to have
pretty
a
cool.
fucking book.
I mean, it was pretty cool at that point they wanted to mention Skinwalkers. But uh this is not
I
a
will
Skinwalker by any means. This is not a Skinwalker by any means, I will say that.
I will say when they go down in the sewer, they got to invest into some better flashlights, dude. They're walking around. I mean, they most of their work is at night, and they're walking around with these crappy flashlights. They need to get themselves an O light,
I mean,
invest into
but
something good.
it's what, 2004? Did they really have better flashlights at that time or
Oh yeah, they did, dude. Even headlamps. My headlamps back then, that was before they started putting LEDs and everything. You get some pretty powerful damn lights back in the day.
I mean, in 2004 I was in fucking high school, like just about to get my license, so I have no fucking idea. But it's, yeah, it's, they go into the store, they find these gelatinous globs, and that's when they kind of realize what they're working with. Which kind of pisses me off in these early episodes is they don't go back to their father's book. Like after the first episode, they don't go back to their father's book again for like all these episodes. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I want to see the
Oh
book.
yeah.
That book is legendary. Like I want to see that book get opened up and read shit. Like read some passages out of it about these monsters. Like
Yeah, I
it's
guess
just like,
you're
oh
right.
yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
I just thought of that. I didn't even think about it during the episode, but I just thought of it now. I'm like, they haven't opened the book since the first episode. I'm like, it's just, oh, dad faced one of these and so, like, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like, oh, let's look at the book, see what it has to say about how to kill these things. But they just know, shapeshifter, oh, we need a silver bullet to the heart. I think it's what
Well,
this,
that
wasn't that what it was? Wasn't that what it was? A
yeah,
silver bullet to the heart?
that's what it was. But like you were saying, is this was this even a shapeshifter? Because this thing had like it was able to download all of their memories and like it's pretty
Well, I
advanced
mean,
freaking shapeshifter, dude.
So can I mean, but they don't go into what it is. I mean, this honestly could have been X Files and would end up being an alien. But It's I don't know. It's a
Because that
shapeshifter. They use a
that
very
kind
generic term
of
for it.
so he turns into Dean and he goes and meets up with Sam's old
Yes,
college friend.
and
He's
he
talking.
you know, he gets very SA with her. He gets very XA on her, and it's just not. It's it's good acting on Jensen Ackles' part, I gotta say, because that's not his personality at all to be that type of guy. But he did some good acting in that scene.
But I thought it was weird when he was mentioning how like he was a deformed guy and he wanted to be something else and like this the whole story he talks about is like becoming something else, not being born as a shapeshifter.
Yeah, I
And that's
mean,
that's what kind of made me think, was this more of like witchcraft? What was that? They never really fully clear it up.
I mean, it's the first season. They're not going to give monsters backstories. They're not going to. But
Yeah.
it's just, and I don't think they do many shapeshifter episodes throughout the series. I don't think they really do. I can't think of any that stick out in my
The
head really.
trickster?
Well, that's different. That's different.
Yeah.
We'll get
Yeah,
into that
that's
when we'll get into that when we get into that. We're not going to give spoilers away. But yeah. I
this
mean,
is
it's
a quote from Dean. Woo woo woo, you're gonna put an AP, or whoa whoa whoa, you're gonna put an APB out on me. You wanna explain that
yeah,
part?
yeah, because Sam's like, because the shapeshifter steals baby. He steals Dean's car, which that was
Uh-huh.
my last. That literally was my last note in this episode that I wrote down. Is that this is the beginning of seeing how much Dean loves that car? Like this was the first episode where they really showed it. Like it's because like he it was like he lost a child when that car got taken from him. But it's just what can I say? It's
Well, that was another weird thing I thought with this episode, was Sam and Dean are walking back to the car. They're coming out of the sewers. They were tied up. They get out. They're going back to the car, and there's police all around the car, kind of like they let the car sit there as a trap. And then
yeah.
Sam sits there to get arrested. Cut the next scene, Dean's in the car. Like, how did that happen? That one I had a problem with.
Yeah, I mean it's these early episodes. Not a lot is explained, and it's funny. It's funny when they show the picture of Dean on the fucking TV, and Dean's like, "That's a horrible drawing of me." Like
Yeah.
it's classic Dean ego, and it's freaking hilarious. I love that moment, and it's funny because in the future, like these two, Dean and Sam become like known criminals in a way. So it's kind of funny, like that they're starting to get like their name out. They're starting to get their faces and names out there as like because it's they haven't quite figured out matured enough yet to figure out like the whole let's lie to authorities type thing.
Well, and Dean does end up dead at the end of this episode. So his whole
Technically, yeah. I mean,
APB, they're not looking for him.
yeah. I mean, he does, and I mean, this episode was awesome for the monster. But besides that, I'm not a huge fan of this episode. It just didn't. It's
Yeah.
one of those monsters. It's one of those monster of the week episodes that didn't really thrill me. Like some of their monster of the week episodes, like there's one coming up. I don't know if it's gonna be next week's two episodes or after that, but there's one coming up that copies off of one of my favorite horror movies. So I can't wait to see that one. But it's this episode just wasn't. I mean, if I had to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd give it a 2.5, maybe, maybe.
Yeah. But
Actually, we should,
the one Easter egg I would say that they had in this one is like when the Skinwalker first takes Dean, you see Dean's necklace, and then for me, the whole time I'm watching that necklace, like, are they going to lose that necklace? But at the end of the episode, Dean does take the necklace, and we don't find out like the meaning behind the necklace for 8 seasons. It's
yeah.
actually a
I mean,
Christmas
it's
episode.
oh, the Christmas episodes are fucking amazing. But yeah, I mean, actually, that's something we should start doing. We should start ranking these episodes with 5 stars. But I mean,
Okay.
because
What did you do? What did you
Blake
think for episode 5?
for Bloody Mary, I'd have to give it a 4 out of 5 just for the imagery alone. I mean, it was a good episode for imagery, and Who doesn't love a good Bloody Mary episode of any paranormal show? So
I would agree with that 100%. I'd agree with your two and a half on episode 6 as well.
I mean, if Sam's friend was a little hotter, it might have got higher stars in my opinion. But it's like Dean's trying to hit on her and shit. I'm like, why? Why? I'm like, do you want to fuck a
I
prepubescent looking girl? Like, Jesus Christ.
like I said with the Bloody Mary one, I think you could have added, 40 minutes to an hour worth of storyline in there and
Oh
had
God,
that its
I'm
own
kind of
movie.
surprised. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't like done start doing supernatural movies yet on Netflix or something else. I'm surprised they haven't like tapped on Jensen and fucking Jared to fucking do movies.
Oh, dude, they got to be loaded. There's 20 seasons of this
I,
damn show.
I I'm sure they're I know they're loaded. They show their houses in the one episode in the future, but
Yeah.
I mean it's just this many years past, you think they would try to do like supernatural movies on Netflix or something? Like you think Netflix would like try to lock that shit down? They love the supernatural shit on Netflix. Like you think they would like lock that shit down? It's probably been it's been one of their most watched shows for like the last 10 years. So they
Yeah.
should definitely. I mean, if anything, Netflix should be doing movies of Sam and Dean, or at least Sam. I'm not giving spoilers away, so folks, you can figure out what that means when we get to the end in many years. But still.
Yeah. Many, many years.
Many years before we get to the end and get to another show. But what can I say? Or actually, I don't know. Maybe we'll do a season of one show. I don't know. We'll figure. Maybe we'll stick with Supernatural. I'm enjoying my rewatch. Every week I want to watch more than 2 episodes. But I'm like, nope. I'm limiting myself to 2 episodes a week, and then otherwise I'll get way too far ahead and I won't remember what happened with the previous episodes. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm doing the same thing.
I gotta stick to 2 episodes a week, and it's painful because I wanted to sit there and watch the whole series over again because it's so fucking incredible. But
Yeah,
I got
going
to,
from
I got,
Supernatural to the Connors. It's like, I
yeah,
don't know.
I fucking love the Connor. So I got nothing wrong. Or that new Tim Allen show, Shifting Gears. I fucking love that show.
My wife started watching that one too.
I mean, it's Tim Allen and it's Zoe Deschanel, and I could watch Zoe Deschanel cook dinner like she's fucking gorgeous. I don't care what she's doing. So
Hmm. I think my wife's watching a different one with the girl from Two Broke Girls.
yeah, that's Zoe. Oh no, not Zoe Deschanel. Fuck.
Yeah, Zoe Deschanel's from New Girls
Yeah.
or New
What the fuck?
Girl.
I can't think of her fucking name ever. It's always is a fucking thing that drives me nuts. But yeah, the chick from Two Broke Girls with the giant hooters. I fucking love her. So, oh my god. Oh fuck. Why can't I think of her name? Yeah, it's driving me nuts now. But
I don't think
yeah,
I ever knew it.
I knew it. She was in the Thor movie. She was in a couple of Avengers movies. She's freaking incredible. But she was
It's
in
got
WandaVision.
what's his name from American Pie too, Stifler.
Oh, Sean William Scott's in it. Yes, he is, and
Yeah.
he's a good supporting role. I mean, so is the African American gentleman in the wheelchair. I don't know who he is, but I freaking love him. Love him. He's hilarious. But
I wish
it's a
this
good
was
show.
before Christmas, but I saw a new Christmas movie with Tim Allen. I'll bring it up for anybody watching for next year. But El Camino Christmas has nothing to do with Breaking Bad. But it was a good depressing Christmas movie for next
With Tim
year.
Allen? With
With
Tim
Tim
Allen?
Allen, yeah. That dude is
And
like the king of Christmas.
I mean, yeah, I hope the Santa Clauses gets a third season, but we'll see.
Well, not just Santa Claus. Didn't he do like Christmas with the Cranks? He
Oh yeah,
this
yeah.
movie. He's done so much all the Christmas episodes he's been in. Damn.
Oh, yeah. Home Improvement just got put on Netflix, and Home Improvement Christmas episodes are freaking hilarious. So that's a show I might
Mhm.
have to go back and I might have to rewatch that show now that I'm older. I don't think I've seen that show like regularly since I was a kid. So
Yeah, we've only found some like on YouTube for a while, but everything keeps getting taken down and shit.
it's on Netflix now, so you can watch it in full on Netflix.
Swoop, swoop. Well, I'm gonna start
But
the watch Discord. Hopefully, I'll talk to my son. I'm taking the whole month of February off drinking, so I'm probably gonna get some stuff done.
It definitely helps. I agree. It definitely
Sober,
helps.
sober February.
Yeah, I ain't down with that. But
It's the
I ain't down
shortest
with that.
month. Everybody
Yeah,
does
I
a
know.
sober October and all that. I did sober February. I got
I ain't doing
27 more days.
I ain't doing sober any month. I got kids, motherfucker. But uh we will be back next week, folks, to discuss episodes 6 and 7. What they are, I have no idea off the top of my head, so we'll see. But come back next
7
week
and
to
8.
hear next
7 and 8.
True. 7 and 8.
Okay.
Come back next week, folks. Have a good one.